I was recently listening to a podcast about current events, and the host brought up the topic of a bill in Colorado to legalize prostitution. And the way they introduced it was by saying that Colorado was considering a bill that would make it the second state in the country to legalize the world's oldest profession. Now, I'm not actually going to talk about legalization today, other than to say that it has been tried and the data consistently shows that it is a terrible thing. And thankfully the host came to the same conclusion. But when it's been tried, the data shows that it only leads to an increase in exploitation and trafficking. But what I want to talk about is the phrase that prostitution is the world's oldest profession. You see, people in favor of legalization, they love that phrase because it gives it the sense of inevitability, that prostitution has always been here and always will be. In fact, by calling it a profession, it implies that it's the first thing that women wanted to do. In fact, Webster's has 3 definitions of the word profession, and all 3 of them use the word calling. So to say that prostitution was the first calling that a woman had, or the first thing they felt called or compelled to do or chose to do or wanted to do, is just not true. In fact, if you were to look at the biblical record of human history or anthropological records of human history, both would agree that probably gardening and agriculture were the first professions. You could maybe say tool making, animal husbandry, maybe midwifery, but certainly not prostitution. However, prostitution and exploitation does date back to ancient times, and it would actually be pretty accurate to call prostitution and human trafficking the world's oldest oppression. So the next time you hear that phrase, that prostitution is the world's oldest profession, feel free to chime in and correct them and say, actually, it's the world's oldest oppression.